Hello friends, welcome to We the Weary World. I'm Jackie Lee Howard and we've got my friend Stephannie Schmit here. If you haven't listened to episode 1 of our conversation, please do so. This is a continuation. We hope you enjoy. Please keep going. We need ya.
As high schoolers, I was suffering with immense amounts of anxiety. You were such a wonderful friend. Like, you let me borrow your clothes. You were just so supportive. And I'm sorry for all the clothes I ruined. Please forgive me. No, just kidding. That green lacy shirt, I'm
all
probably
good.
it's for somewhere.
How a shirt can make you feel better too. Just like
I know. You really were you've always been such a positive light. And I just want to hear from you because from what it sounds like, and of course I know, but for listeners, like from the outside, you seem so confident and so like in yourself and in your body. And what has self-love meant for you, like going into adulthood?
I think just knowing that if you don't take care of yourself, you can't fill a cup for someone else if your cup is empty. So for me, I take self-care, self-love very seriously. Take myself on a date, like at least once a week, even if it's just like to a coffee shop to read a book. Like if I have like an hour, I'm like, okay, I could take a nap or I could like just go do something really quick. I date myself all the time. And I think it's like so healthy just to be able to really reflect on who you are, because you can't shine for anybody else if you're not working on your light.
It's such an easy thing to be like, oh no, I'm going to put all of my attention on other people. But you're right. You can't fill their cup while yours is dry. And I think romanticizing your life is really important. That's something that I've been doing. Just make things more fun and playful and romantic for myself, not for anyone else, and it has given me like a greater sense of who I am as a person.
Before I knew what self-love was, like high school and after that, I don't know where my hose was coming from, but I was just pouring and always just trying to be the happiest. And I think that's probably where like all my depression and anxiety came from. Like, what was I ever doing for myself? So yeah, I'm so big on that now. I come home and I'm like, I can't talk yet. I gotta go take a bath. I gotta go do this. I could just be like, hey, I'm gonna go here for a weekend, or I'm gonna go do this. And it's funny because like trauma comes back into your life every single day. And I always ask, do you care if I do this? Because you think about past relationships where you would have to ask permission. And I think that's such a big thing that I'm still trying to work through. Because, 9 years later, I just was like, hey, do you care if I go to Sacramento this weekend? And he was like, I don't understand why you ever asked. Like, let's just make sure the dog is taken care of. And I'm like, oh, okay, like, cool. Like
with Derek, like never asking, just expecting him to know. And oh man. And it just built silent resentment. And I also never got what I wanted because I wasn't like speaking or asking. And so I think it's important to like date yourself so you know what you need.
And what you deserve.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. And I think just having the hard conversation, just choose to fight for what you want and you choose to grow with that person. The person I got with, 9 years ago, we're like different. We look at pictures, we're like, we were just like two stupid kids, and so it's really good to be able to grow with somebody and they just let you grow back.
You did a perfect segue because I want to know, like, you have changed a lot and grown a lot, gone through a lot. And how has that been in a serious partnership? And like, what do you feel has made you the most successful in it?
I think it was hard having the hard conversations, fighting, fighting for yourself. I don't think when we first got together, we laid out the expectations. We're best friends. We're like, let's see where it goes. But then my expectation was like, I don't want to just like mess around. Like this is either going to go somewhere or it doesn't. So that was like the first expectation, which we struggled with because we're like, do we even want to be together? Like I think just laying out your expectations, telling them your triggers. What
Mhm.
you're making me mad because you're triggering something from the past, which isn't your fault. I have to learn that too. And I can't be mad at you that you did it, but you need to also understand that that can't happen again. You need to respect the boundary. For us, I think it was just growing and talking. It's happened like 3 times where we're both just like so effing mad. And then one of us just walks away. Like, why are we going to sit here because I was in an abusive relationship? I'm not going to sit here and fight because my fight or flight might come out. And I don't want to do something that maybe I had to do 10 years ago. You know what I mean? So,
Absolutely.
so him
Yeah.
knowing, I think, was really good too, because then we can regroup. We have a thing where, like, even if we're mad at each other, we always sleep in the same bed. You could just put a pillow there. Like, don't touch me, but like, I think just constantly choosing that person and just being okay with growth. We're constantly changing, we're constantly evolving, and I'm constantly doing just something random. And he's just like, oh, okay, whatever. So I think just allowing room for growth really just helps. And then loving yourself, doing stuff for yourself.
I'm so proud of you. You're doing so well. And what you just said about, like, it's not anyone else's responsibility what your triggers are, or how you're responding to those triggers. And I think I had to learn that because, like, there was so much trauma unbeknownst to me. Like, I think everyone needs to understand that there is trauma in their lives. Like, most people walk around with some sort of PTSD.
100%. And they don't even know it.
Exactly. Once like the fight or flight comes down, you're like, why did I react like that? And for me, whenever I would react, I would feel such great shame and embarrassment for who I was, that it interrupted how I felt about myself. Like, it really made my self-worth go down because I was reacting to trauma. So the only thing that has helped me with that is working through that trauma. I mean, that is
Hurts.
but it's so good to see you doing so well and helping so many people.
Sorry.
Where's the baby? She's got her ball.
Just, scratching, like, give me my ball.
Cute.
Yeah.
Well, what do you feel the most proud of for yourself?
I really think just the growth, like really digging into who I thought I was, who I am, what I'm doing, and just allowing myself just to go through it. You grow what you go through, and just trying to figure it out. I think not getting over the trauma, but I think learning how to live with it, because I don't think you ever get over. You don't ever get over the grief. You don't ever get over the pain. But I think it's just trying to figure out how to do it without destroying yourself.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah, I think it's important for more of us to talk about that. Like, you can't go through life unscathed. Like, no way that you're going to dodge all things. So
yeah.
Life hands you a bunch of really incredible things. And on the other side, there's a whole spectrum of loss and grief and anger and all of those things. And I think you can be a happy person while also working through some very heavy shit.
Or like, why are we carrying every single thing that ever happened to us? I went through trauma yoga training. I broke my foot and had to be there the very next day. I showed up in a cast, a boot, and everything. And I was like, if this doesn't define my life right now, what does? So I think that's what caused a lot of the depression and the hard time in my life, because going through that and learning how to get rid of the trauma in your body. I thought everybody's like, oh, she has a broken foot. This is kind of ironic. And I'm like, I'm not even working through that foot. I'm working through a lot. So that was a hard time in the relationship too, having to come home and like say the hard stuff. Like, this is how I'm feeling. Like, so it just continued. Broke my foot, went through this trauma training, which is so good for my career and to help people. But it shook me for a really long time. And then like, bam, collarbone. And I'm like, oh, cool, more trauma. Like, why am I doing it? And it's just like this weird thing that you think about, like that whole year was just about trauma and working through it.
I think that that's like where grace is, it's like you have to find grace within yourself because the same thing has happened with me especially this last year, like doing hardcore therapy and like completely transforming my life because of the therapy, because I'm realizing like, oh, so much of my life was built on like coping mechanisms and I had no boundaries. And so my relationship with like everyone around me changed. And
Yeah.
most everyone was like, absolutely, you need to focus on yourself and your joy and your peace. And most everyone was supportive, but it does there's some like messiness in it. And you have to have grace with yourself and know that like this is just part of the human experience. You're gonna mess up, you're gonna have to cancel plans, you're gonna have to hurt people. As long as you can move through it and understand how to do better, I think and I'm hearing that from you. You're really learning the waves, and it's
You have to learn to say no. You have to say no for yourself.
yeah.
If it's drain you, or maybe that person is, you're like, man, they're kind of going through a lot. And like, maybe I am too silently, like, can I do it? Or, just creating space between people. No.
I love it. You're doing so good. I love seeing you in this stage of life.
Yeah.
If someone is like me, interested in starting a yoga practice, how would you recommend starting?
Gosh, I would say just YouTube it because that's what everybody would tell you to do. But that's why I created adventurous yoga, outdoor yoga, because like, how do you get people to try yoga if they never have? So maybe you take them outdoors. Maybe you add beer. Maybe you add champagne. Maybe you add animals. Just add something. You add a distraction. I would say maybe trying to find a yoga event because there's zero expectation.
I really think I would prefer, because I did yoga throughout my 20s, but once like I have fallen out of it, and then going to a class setting feels very overwhelming for me.
Very, very, yeah.
But like doing something outside or special with animals, I mean, the alpaca farm that you do yoga at,
yeah,
it would be a great honor to see you teach a yoga class.
I'd probably be so nervous. And I still get nervous teaching. Like I'm like, and then I'm like, turn it on, like, let's do it. But yeah,
I think it's like reprogramming ourselves, right? Like it's okay to be nervous. I often was like, no, you can't be angry, you can't be resentful, you can't be nervous, all of these things. And it's like my body's just reacting to the environment around me.
100%.
So, if I'm angry, there's a reason. And it doesn't mean that I should react, but my body is trying to tell me something, and
I should listen to it. And that's like the biggest thing. Years ago, we never listened. I think like getting back into yoga would help you tremendously. Start somewhere fun, see how you feel after. And then like maybe not like a yoga setting if you're not comfortable, but maybe like an online streaming in the comfort of your home with your puppy.
Yeah.
Making it hard, making it distracting, and just working through the distractions, because the hardest part of yoga is just being present and figuring it out and working through it all. So I think it's very like humbling when I work out at home, because my dog is literally jumping on my face or like dropping a ball on my face, or and it's like I'm having to work through those distractions without getting angry, without getting anxious, like just allowing the universe to be. Yeah.
You have inspired me. I mean, you always inspire me, but talking to you today has absolutely inspired me. And maybe next time I see you, I'm going to be a yogi. Who knows?
Oh, yeah. Live the yogi life, like I'm driving down the road and I'm just breathing, like,
yeah.
Sometimes I listen to meditations. That's a good place to start too, like driving meditations. Just trying to find the calm in this crazy world, yoga can just be sitting quiet, laying on the mat, just connecting to the body and feeling it, it's really just, it can be so many things. It could be fun and exciting. It could be healing, and, it can just be whatever you need it to be that day.
You are a remarkable human being. I'm
Thanks.
so grateful to know you. And I think you covered all the bases. You like hit them all so quickly. So
Talk about how I'm happy I didn't have to read this.
oh my God.
I like never done a podcast. I don't know what to do. So when you asked those questions, I was like,
Oh,
so yeah.
she just held up like a giant paper with like,
Well, all
that-
your questions, like I can't answer like that's just not who I am. I can't answer a question with one word. I'm like, well, I have to tell you why.
you did amazing. No, you really, thank you so much. That means the world to me, Steffi.
In my homework. Thank you so much for having me. This was fun.
I know it was fun. You're welcome anytime.
Maybe don't ask me about all my trauma though. Like, no, I'm just kidding.
I want to thank my friend Stephannie Schmit for this candid conversation and for all of you listening. Please keep going, friends. Love ya!